They can hear us, but they cannot see us yet. For momentarily, we shall remove the veil and reveal ourselves. How's it going, folks? Well, welcome to another Thursday on the Savage Universe. I am Chris Landauer from Pinnacle Entertainment, filling in for JM Defoe, who today is his anniversary, so he is off with the missus, having some fun.
Congratulations.
But we didn't want to delay bringing on Jeff from Adventures in Lollygagging. So welcome, Jeff. Appreciate you joining us.
Thanks for inviting me. This is great. Fantastic.
And it looks like you brought the squad too. Lots of new faces in chat. So everybody, welcome to the Peg channel.
Yeah.
So that's good.
I travel with an entourage. I think is that what it is?
Right.
I don't.
We do now. Hashtag entourage.
Right.
We need to get paid the same bucks that people get paid to have entourages. But I mean, think of it this way: these people are genuinely your entourage, not just here for handouts because of your big NBA deal or dropping your new rap album or whatever.
That's true. Some of them are contractually obligated with the Adventures in Lollygagging to follow me wherever I go, whether it's physical or online. So it's great.
Well, so let's start there because that's the topic is who. Yeah, right. Hi, I'm Chris. Okay, nice to meet you. But no, I'm serious. Much more handsome, Jeff. Jeff, tell us who you are and what is Adventures in Lollygagging, and we'll dig into your deep past, your permanent record. I think I contacted your kindergarten teacher and got your permanent record. And
did you?
There was some glue eating and
there was a lot of glue eating. That actually is accurate. I was a glue eater back in the day, and like last year too. I was at it. It's been a tough thing to quit, but yeah, I'm Jeff Baker. I run a stream. So TTRPG stream, mostly actual plays, though we're talking about doing some other things here soon. But mostly we just do actual plays, live plays of various tabletop role-playing games. We do some Savage Worlds, but we do all sorts of different systems here and there. We've been doing it for something like 3-4 years at this point, I think. And we do some podcasting on and off here and there. So it's a little bit of everything. But mostly it's just live plays. So we just play games on the internet, and hopefully people like watching us play games on the internet. And that's what we got.
That is awesome. Okay, so since you were on all the platforms, and since you're on all the platforms, I'm gonna just run a little banner below where this is where folks can find you to get in on the good action. I think I'll over the next couple minutes while you're talking, I'll pop those links into the comments so they show up on all of the platforms so folks can find you. But as long as they're here watching us right now, how did you get into gaming, sir? What was your first gaming experience?
So if we're talking like tabletop role playing, that is a weird history because we were talking a little bit before we went live that I had like a red box, like a D&D red box. I want, way back when I was like 9-10 years old or something like that. But I never played it. So I had my buddy and I, my best friend growing up, he and I had that, but we also had Hero Quest. And so we never actually played the tabletop role-playing game, but instead what we did is we kind of hacked together our own like composite of Hero Quest and like advanced Dungeons and Dragons rules. And then we just did like some random war game on top of Hero Quest. And so that was like the only time.
Sir.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, and I don't think the rules were ever balanced, even remotely. And there's a lot of table flipping too. Like often we would flip like the Hero Quest board and all the little pieces and the little the doorways and all the the bookcases and stuff would fall. But it was always versus, and that didn't go too well. And it wasn't until like a couple of years later when I was in high school that I actually got into my first tabletop role-playing game, and I didn't really know what I was getting into because it was a vampire game, and so I just had it was just a complete totally different thing. And so
that is a whole different mindset, but compared to
it was not at all what I was expecting either. But a buddy of mine, it was just like, yeah, you should you like games and stuff, right? And like, yeah, sure, I like games. It's like, you should come. We're doing a role-playing game. I'm like, okay, sure. And so I'm thinking in my head, it's going to be like this Hero Quest D&D thing. And then I went, and it was nothing like that.
It was right.
It was nothing like that.
Like many more girls playing. So like, oh my God, females do this too.
It's definitely a mix. Yeah.
Right. Also, like the LARPing influence that was pretty heavy in that circle.
Yeah, there was definitely some LARPing going on. There was it was and it was like it was at a Denny's. I think it was a Denny's or like a Perkins, one of those types of things. I can't remember, but it was it was late at night, and so we did this on like a Friday or a Saturday after like high school hangout stuff, and that that was interesting. So I did that for like 2 weeks, and then I kind of disappeared again for a couple of years with it. And it wasn't until college I actually played a proper like D&D style game.
Oh.
And then so like I kind of like hit it here and there a couple times when I was younger, but like in like really what we're doing now, like actually playing the game, running, GMing, all that kind of stuff, that wasn't until like 6, 7, 8 years ago or so. Mostly it was by way of getting back into board games and like modern board games and stuff. Yeah, my wife and I, we have an absurd amount of board games in our living room, many of which still have Shrink on them. And but we played that for a bunch, for a while, and then eventually that kind of transitioned into like tabletop role playing games through like things like Fiasco and stuff like that. And then
very cool.
Yeah.
So that's pretty awesome. It's great to hear that like the re-entry into RPGs came through some of those. Oh, here we go. Oh, we have thrown down in the chat, and you cheat. You can't cheat at Fiasco.
I don't. So there's a kind of a running. People say gag, but it's really not. It's actually just truth that my wife cheats at board games. It's like a command we have on our stream. She cheats all the time. And so that's what Eric, one of our buddies from North Boundary, he's referring to there. She cheats all the time at board games. Sometimes she says that it's because she doesn't it's a mistake, but I don't think it is, because it happens with such regularity that I think it's intentional. But it didn't necessarily mean that we stopped playing them, and so she didn't cheat enough that we kind of moved away from board games, at least. So that's why I got into GMing, where I can just be a power hungry control freak and can't you can't cheat if I'm the one in charge now. So.
Well, see, that was the thing. That was like I'm of the age when it was like, oh my god, one of our group got a girlfriend, and oh wait, he's gonna game master the next session, and oh wait, she has the perfect character, and we all have crap characters. that happened too. But if we got Eric from Norse Foundry in, I would be remiss not to be like, oh, look at the Norse Foundry Deadlands tray of holding. It is gorgeous and amazing. So yeah, thank you, Eric. That was an awesome little partnership. So yeah, as long as we're talking Savage Universe, like Norse Foundry, they're one of our partners. They do good stuff.
Yeah, they're one of our friends too. They we kind of do little giveaways and stuff. With Eric is really kind to give us some giveaways. While Tracy Sizemore, she was guesting on our Holler stream, gave away some Deadlands dice, some Deadlands themed dice here and there. So.
Right. So, and I still owe you like a swag box to give away more Savage World stuff, as we appreciate all the games you run. So I remember that I need to do that. So. So John Doom, he's a local. He's one of our guys. He asks, what game is still in shrink wrap that you really keep meaning to open and play but have not yet?
Board gaming wise, oh gosh, there's quite a few of them. I've been eyeing Tapestry, which is oh gosh, who designed it? I know it was a game from same makers as like Scythe and Viticulture and things like that. They made it was like a Civ building game. Been looking at that for a while. Would like to bust that out.
Stonemeyer.
Yeah, Stonemeyer Games. That's it. Yeah. So I think I'm not sure if Jamie Stegmeyer actually designed that one or not, but I know that Stonemeyer put it out. But it's that type of kind of. He
did. That's an in-house one.
Yeah, we like especially my wife and I. We play a lot of those games that aren't necessarily antagonistic. Like we don't do a lot of take that when it's just me and her playing, and that's the type of game that from at least what I understood, like Civ building and and a little bit of solitaire and the idea of like building up your own Civ and dealing with the objectives and things like that. So that's probably one that I should get out at some point, but it's still in shrink. So there's a bunch of others too. That's not the only one.
I mean, I think it's having board games that are unopened and unplayed is like having a very full library of books that you don't have to have read all of them. They're aspirational. Yeah. They're just being in the presence of creativity is soul, so.
They take up more space and they're more expensive. That's the only problem. Kickstarter, I have a Kickstarter problem. I've been trying. So like I started kickstarting various games, and that's why a lot of my shelves are filled. And I've managed to sort of quell the idea of like backing board games all the time. But now I just back a bunch of role playing games. So it's really just shifting from one thing to another. So
well, we appreciate the shift. Absolutely. Oh, look, Grim and Perilous Place. Welcome. But yes, the dice that go with it and you need to get the tray. If you have the metal dice from Norse Foundry, you need the tray too, because those metal dice they'll put a dent in some stuff. I mean, when we talk about exploding dice in Savage Worlds, They are well made. They will last. They can be an heirloom that you can give to your kids.
The dice are fantastic too. We got to see him. One of our players in our Deadlands and Holler game, he has them. I think he's in there. Key Cowboy there. He's got a set of the Deadlands dice and can attest to how great they look. So
yes, I have gotten warned. Like John Doom in the chat, like cannot use the metal dice on his Tablezilla because unless there's this protective mat. So someone actually, like, that's one of the cool things with these, the cool big tables is like people they'll do like the huge mouse pad material maps, so you can like fill out your whole table with that foamy awesome
and neoprene.
Yes, that's the word. That's the word. Yeah. It was like that or scuba diving.
Yeah, I have like a massive mouse pad here, but I never use it. I do have like a little box because whenever I roll it here, like it shakes the mic and you can kind of hear it on the stream every now and then. So it's the other good thing about the dice tray is that it helps soften it a bit. So
it's true. And you are on Apple iTunes. I think I've got that one. I'll throw that in the comments. That was a little too long for the scroll earlier, but so if you guys want to listen to Adventures in Lollygagging on iTunes, it is also there as well. And I will pop that up as soon as interface lets me. There we go. There it is. The so what's it like taking your love of gaming and hobbies and then being creative on camera in front of other people and streaming and doing YouTube and the podcast?
Yeah.
What's it like taking it to that level?
I mean, it used to be terrifying in the beginning. Like there, like a lot in the beginning was, the idea of showing other people how you do it, and knowing that undoubtedly, if you do it this way, like people will have, say one thing or another. And some of it was just, the nerves of it, because it's a little like we're not actors by any stretch of the imagination. Like that's not what we do. We play it pretty close to how we would play it, even if we didn't have cameras or mics in front of us. But over time, it's kind of become second nature. But it's just really fun because it's not just because it kind of expands who you're hanging out with. So it's not just the game, like the people in the game, the 4, 5, 6 people you're playing with, but now you have, however many people in their chat. We have made so many friends, people we play games with, people we just, chat with in Discords and things like that. So being able to just sort of expand and make friends that way, honestly, is really, really nice. And so much of the growth of our channel and our group happened, during lockdown. And so we're doing so many things online anyway. And so we were able to kind of expand our friend group, stay in touch with people that, we've moved across the country. Like the whole reason I got into podcasting to begin with is because, one of my best friends and we just decided to do a podcast as a way to check in on each other, because we don't get to hang out. We're on different sides of the country at the time. So it was really the only thing we could do. So we just kind of chatted about, nerdy stuff every now and then, games and comics and movies and things like that. And so it's just a way to do more with it and kind of expand who you talk to. It's our kind of way of socializing, I guess, in some ways. But it can be it was a little weird at first, getting used to first being on the microphone and then secondly being on camera. It definitely takes some getting used to, but it's not something that, I think anyone can really do it over time, but you kind of get more comfortable with it the more you do it. It becomes sort of second nature after a while.
It's true. It's almost like my own thing is I can't watch my own streams. It's like, nope. I hate the way my voice sounds. Like all of it. It's just like awkward. It's like, nope, just pretend it didn't exist. At least 30 people will show up and listen. That's fine. It's good. I don't know why, but it is interesting. Just kind of taking that level. And I think it kind of is a natural outgrowth of your love of the hobby, and you want to share it. You must shout it out from the rooftops. So. On-demand question from the infamous, because there's this. Holy goodness, it's Jehufa. So Jehufa.
Jehufa is the guy, my old friend, good old Jess. He and I did a absolutely, I think the word's terrible, nerdy geeky podcast years ago. That's how this all started. This Lollygagger thing started with that. He and I were basically we would do these gentlemen's challenges. We would do these gentlemen's challenges. That's what we called it, where we would force the other to watch like a terrible movie or play a game that was way outside what we would normally play. And then we'd like quiz each other on it. And that was like half of our podcast right there. And we did that until we got really sick of it. And then we stopped. I think we stopped too on like, I think we stopped at like episode 99 too. Like one more episode, we could have hit 101.
That's
we never just did one more.
All the OCD people are like, please do one more.
I know.
Please,
we could have got that objective. We didn't get the trophy. It's a shame. Yeah.
That's awesome. So we blame you. We blame you, Jehufa.
It is. Yeah, it is definitely his fault. For sure. Yeah.
Old friend, almost dead friend. That's fine. Fine. Old friends are good. What was it? You make new friends, but keep the old. One is silver and the other one's dead. Yeah. Awesome. Yes. Who was that? Who was? Oh, there we go. Yes. I'm slowly catching up to the. Jeff is way ahead. Jeff is living in the future.
I am. Nice.
Yeah.
It's very hot, just so you know, in the future. So
they were right about that global warming. We should have listened.
Invest in a really good air conditioning system, just so you know.
Yeah. Oh, my central air. I don't know how people like live in the South and certain like even on either coast, either without central air. So how long have you been doing the Lollygaggers? Snail Edo wants to know.
Oh my goodness. So I guess its current iteration, I want to say 5 years, something like that. Like where we've been doing Twitch live streaming, YouTube, posting games on YouTube, stuff like that, like actual video, audio. That's been about 4 years, I want to say. Prior to that, we just did audio only for a bit. So we were doing an audio only podcast for a while, where we did an actual play for a bit, for about a year and a half or so, just purely in podcast form. And then we were doing that other podcast I mentioned for maybe about a year before that. So maybe 6 years, something like that. I think we've been doing one thing or another. But the live play stuff, the actual play, is probably about 4 years, I would say, at this point.
That's commitment. That's longer than a lot of marriages. So
yeah.
I mean, that's worth celebrating.
Well, my marriage works out because my wife plays in a lot of the games, so it makes it a lot easier. So we don't get the splitter time. It's a way for us to because we play games together, so it's always really we're useful for that. Before it was board games, now it's role playing games, and so it makes it a lot easier to no stress there. So it's pretty great.
so Shy Deezy says we need a throwback. So maybe that 100th episode is gonna happen.
Just do a rinse. Yeah, just dig out the old. Right. Let's just dig out the old material. Yeah, we'll do a 100th episode. We could do that, I suppose. Right.
Hey, the completionists they'll sing your praises. Ooh, 64. Yeah, it is. So just in case I disappear, folks, it is like actively trying to kill people outside with thunder and lightning where I'm at. So if I disappear, it wasn't my fault. I'm not running away from Jeff. It was the internet's going down. So welcome. Wow, all the way from Aussie Oz. That includes New Zealand, right? It's part of the whole Australia, New Zealand, right? So welcome.
I'm not gonna argue. Yeah.
Right. Aussie. Wait. Is that where we're? Yeah. Yeah, I hope I'm not offending the New Zealanders by that. Is it a little more of the black and anyways? I haven't watched my south of the equator sports in a bit. So, anyways, let's get back to how did you get into Savage Worlds? So it sounds like you got a great history in role playing. What was the first toe dip into the Savage Worlds pool?
So I think it had to have been the first time I ran was Deadlands. So about 2 years ago, I think. I dug into Deadlands because one of our players, Key Cowboy in the chat, he's a big Deadlands fan going back to like the 90s. He loves Deadlands this, Deadlands that. And so that definitely helped encourage me to sort of look over at it. I played it once or twice prior, I can't remember the specific setting off the top of my head what it was, but it wasn't. I think I played Deadlands one session and another setting that I can't remember exactly what it was, but it wasn't until I think Deadlands, the Blood Drive Kickstarter popped out. And I think that's when I jumped in on it because I wanted something that was a little bit more structured or a little bit kind of lower in terms of the weirdness quality of it. So I can kind of as an introduction to the setting a bit. And I knew that was kind of loosely based on Lonesome Dove and everything.
Absolutely, 100%.
So that was our first. And so we played that for a while. And that, I want to say we started that maybe 2 years ago. And Deadlands was the first. And we had some crazy characters. We had Dr. Cuspid, who was the aforementioned Key Cowboy, who was a weird science guy and a dentist. And he basically did a lot of Bluetooth technology is how he kind of flavored most of his work. So he would do random things with that. We had a Canadian Mountie, which was great. And so he came down from the north and he was kind of a good righteous guy. And then we had let's see, we had like a couple. I think we had one guy who was essentially, I think Adam's in the chat right now. He was kind of a melee guy, rough and tumble sort of fella. We really only had like one cowboy amongst us. Everybody, like, cause I'm like, hey, guys, this is going to be probably, a campaign. You're going to have to do a lot of like rustling cowboy stuff. You're going to have to like, do this and that. And really just my wife's character was the only one that actually, took writing, I think, as a skill or something. Everybody else was doing random things here and there. But it was a really fun party. Although, like it was pretty bloody early on as we were trying to figure out the balance of things here and there, as explosions this way and explosions that way. But it ended up being a really good campaign. We didn't actually get to the very, very end because we hit a spot towards the end of the second part where we like the story that we had going on, and we had some big moments and deaths and things that kind of transpired that were like, it just feels like such a good ending. And so we just kind of stopped them. Like, we don't think we could get a better ending than this if we tried. And so we just called it there. So I think it's about 18, 19 sessions or so. And each of them were about 2 hours long. I think that's what the things that we ended up with. And then somewhere in there, we picked up Holler at the same time. So I was running 2 Savage World games at the same time, and Holler was the second one we picked up.
That is fantastic. So, I mean, kudos for knowing when to we don't have to finish the adventure. We have finished the story. It is good. It is perfect. Put a pin in it. That is awesome. I think a lot of us for any campaign just wished a lot of our great campaigns ever got there. Like, a lot of them just get derailed with scheduling and time, whatever, before it comes to that sweet little ending on your terms and not on the writer's strike / budget cut / list for next season. Awesomeness. So before we get to Holler, because that is an awesome conversation we want to talk about, JD wants to know, of all the games, which one was the most popular from the viewer's perspective?
Well, I mean, for a while it was Alien from Free League, where I ran about I think it was a 31 episode. It's still ongoing. We're just kind of on a hiatus with it. Where I was doing a campaign for that. But the campaigns are kind of hard to run with Alien because when Xenomorphs show up,
kind of needs to die.
So I started running them in chapters where it was like a big story in the universe, but then we were doing like different crews would tell different parts of like this universe. And a lot of what I was interested in, like in Xenomorphs would pop up every now and then, but mostly it was about like synths and corporate malfeasance and things like that. And that was probably the most popular one for a very long time. But then we started playing One Ring when the second edition came out, and that has definitely become the one we're probably most well known for, as I think more people have watched the first episode of that than any of our other streams. And we've been playing that one for over a year at this point. We have like a year and a half, cool. I think, into it, something like 50. I think we just had episode 58. We're getting near the end. I think we maybe have about 15 episodes left. But that one's I think we have about 15 episodes left. So probably I'll end it sometime in late summer, early autumn, something like that. But that's the one we're probably most known for now.
So you can smell the sulfur from Mount Doom. There's a hobbit just asking to be thrown in.
Yeah, exactly. I love we've had a lot of fun with it. We get really into it, and there's already like we're at that point, like we get to the point in some of our streams where like some of them are short, you don't really get as like emotionally invested all the time in them, but we're playing for like a year and a half and we're thinking like we're gonna be done soon ish before the end of the year, like we're gonna be done, and because it's very Angmar focused, so it's so we're kind of that if you're familiar, so we do a lot of that, and so we're going to be trudging up there, and hopefully not everyone will come back. And so I think there's some trepidation of who's not coming back from that trip. So we'll see.
So when you're running these campaigns, I mean, obviously it might be a little bit different for streaming versus home games, but I mean for both, either one. How much out of character conversation mid campaign do you have with your players on kind of their updated goals and that kind of stuff? Is it like, I mean, a lot of people do session zeros and then kind of just run from there, but is there ever a time that you kind of reconnect and be like, hey, are we ready to head towards a denouement and a conclusion, mm-hmm. or are there things that you want me to incorporate? Like, how much feedback do you do midstream on these kind of things?
Yeah, it depends on the game, I would say, and depends on the length of the game. But I do check in, especially the One Ring games, since it's been so long. So we check in from time to time, especially since, I mean, so much of it is directed by them. I wouldn't go so far as to call it like I wouldn't say I'm running like a pure sandbox or anything like that, but I'm also not running like an on the rails adventure. A lot of it is just framed around like their decisions, what they're interested in, and then there's like that big plot that's happening around them if they choose to engage with it. And so a lot of the times it's just really putting ideas in front of them and what do they want to do with it. And sometimes we do that in character where like their characters figure out what they want to do. Sometimes we do it off stream. I'm like, well, where are you guys thinking ahead next? Or what are you interested in doing next? And then sometimes it's like character specific too. So if there's a player who's got like an arc that they're working on for one of their characters, like we'll check in and we'll see like, okay, what are you thinking of this? What are you thinking of that? And so we'll do that semi regularly, with especially with the longer game. And I think I try to check in every now and then just to make sure people are still having fun. Like if you're if they're not having fun, then what are we doing this for? So that's probably the most important thing. And if there is if there's other things that we could be doing that would make them have more fun, that would also be like a good like little feedback point that I would want to get. I know. I just think check-ins of any kind, make sure everyone's okay, make sure everyone likes what they're doing, likes where it's headed, and everyone's on the same page still is probably something we should, always do, at least to some degree. Not necessarily every single session, but, every now and then at least.
Hey, so is there any consideration in kind of all the dialogue or even in the planning on like what you're going to play of what is of like audience, right? Like of what makes good stream versus what makes just a good game to role play? Because I mean, there might be a difference there. Have you found there to be a difference, or is just focusing on playing good games and playing good characters is enough, or what's your experience on that kind of?
Yeah, the calculus that goes into figuring out like what we're going to stream and like what's going to go well I don't know. I still haven't quite figured it out, to be honest. But I would say that, like for me, the most important thing is it's something we're going to have fun with. That's number one. So even if it's not like if we're going to look at a game and everyone's going to be like, okay, we're not going to have any fun with it, but boy, is it going to give us stream numbers, we're not going to play it. So ultimately, like, is it something we want to have fun with? Is it something that that maybe we haven't done before? Like that's the thing I also kind of take into consideration. So if it's something that's new to us in some way, whether it's setting, system, something like that. So that'll pop up. And then also just sort of ease of learning style, because there's certain games that we know we kind of like, and there's certain games like in terms of like heaviness versus lightness, that kind of thing. And then other games, certain games I think work really well for, some games work better for campaigns, some games work better for one shots, some games work better for like 3 or 4 sessions here and there. So we kind of we try to constantly like looking at how streams are doing. I would say that I don't usually ever make decisions on what to stream or what to stop streaming purely because numbers aren't great. That's not like a driving force necessarily. But sometimes that'll be a tiebreaker. Like if we're looking at 2 games and I can't decide which one I like, and one of them is like, well, this one might get, like people might be more interested in seeing it. There was a time in which, I felt like I would feel a little pressure sometimes, or I like pressure that I put on myself really to when like a certain popular game's coming out, I'm like, I have to jump on this because that's YouTube, that's how it works. Like this is really popular now. So in order to, but I stopped with that because it's unnecessarily stressful. And I just feel like the games that we're playing are games we like to play. And the people who are coming to watch those games are games that those people want to watch. And I think that's the natural blend of like the community coming in. These are the games they want to see us play. These are the games they probably want to learn how to play themselves. We get that a lot too. And it's probably better off just doing that. And considering the amount of time, that goes into us running some of these games and preparing streams and stuff, I'd rather be doing it for games that we just enjoy and we really like doing, is really what it kind of boils down to. And so we've played everything from, we play plenty of Savage Worlds. We play a lot of Free League games. We play plenty of indie games here and there. I know that Edo mentioned a game called Electric Bastion Land, which is an Into the Odd game. I love Electric Bastion Land. That game influenced how I GM probably more than any other game I've played or run before. So, whether it's an indie game or whether it's like a giant, AAA game, I don't think we're going to use those terms in tabletop, but like, if it's something we're interested in, we'll play it. That's really what it boils down to.
That is awesome. So a little theme has popped up in the chat. TPKs. So one, TPK tomorrow night. Offer stands for TPKs, and they're always on the table, always an option. So do you have any good TPK stories? Have you ever actually done a TPK or come close to one?
Come close several times. We've come very, very close a few times. I don't know if on stream I've ever done a full TPK. I know that when we ran Delta Green Impossible Landscapes,
nice.
And that I would say, even though we had a survivor, he really didn't survive. You don't really survive a Delta Green campaign. Yeah. So that one was probably the only one that I would say the whole crew, one way or the other, just got wrecked in the end. But we've had plenty of others where, because we've run things like Alien and Mothership, where death counts. It's expected. It's part of the game. Then we've run games like, One Ring, where it's not like they're more heroic. Like you get a death or something every now and then, but really that's very heroic. It's heroic fantasy. These are supposed to be the people you follow for a really long time. So I don't really do a ton of funnels or anything like that, or, I haven't really run that, though I have seen some Mothership funnels that interest me here and there that I might try to pull out from time to time. I know that in our Alien game, people are mentioning in chat, I had a tendency to take people's arms, which kind of happens. So in Alien, when you get when you get broken, so when you're reduced to essentially zero health, you can get broken and you have to roll a critical injury. And there's just a tendency for me to roll the critical injury of taking someone's arm. I think I did it like 3 times, and I think at least 2 of them happened to the exact same guy, and they were like our buddy Matt, like he and so we have like an emote now in our channel that's just a severed arm giving a thumbs up because it just happens so frequently. So those are really fun.
That is awesome. I mean, having written an edge for Savage Worlds in a pirate game called Take the Leg, I appreciate Take the Arm. I'll let you have the
nice
the trademark on that. I think it's fun. I mean, it's super thematic, right? I mean, losing them is it's definitely part of a lot of fun games. And one of my favorite game masters, that's what he calls like the happy fun die. And it's in the other room. I should go grab it. But it's like a D12 that has the human body, and it's just got random hit locations on where you're. And so
that's fun,
right? Yeah. You have to roll and find out. Is it the arm? Okay, there we go. It's the arm.
Yeah.
And
that's really fun. I know that our Mothership one was pretty crazy. Like we had some cascading stress, but I still maintain that I actually didn't do any of the killing. Like their just stress got so high where they started attacking each other and this and that, and so like there were a couple of deaths that happened in very, very close succession. But I'm completely innocent. I didn't do the roll; somebody else did, so it wasn't me. But it happens. And I know that in Alien, another thing with the Alien game we had that was really fun was, in addition to just taking critical injuries for a player, similar things happen for your ship. And I had to roll a critical damage die, and like there's two different tables. There's minor and there's major. And there's a minor table. It's like a D66. So you roll 2 6s and you kind of make a 2-digit number from it. And anytime you roll in the 60s, it's bad. And so the first time I rolled, it was for a minor damage, which could be anything. It could be a busted microwave, like little tiny things that aren't that important. But then if you roll like a 66, it means, or something like that, you have to roll in the major component table. So I did. I rolled a 66 on it. So now I got to go over the major component table. And then if you roll a 66 again on the major component table, like your core explodes. And I did it again. So I did blow up a ship once, but everyone had, they had a chance to kind of get away, but they were shipless for a while. So that was fun.
Oh, that is glorious.
Yeah.
Question from way back. Who's your favorite lollygagger and why is it Mel?
Well, Mel is my wife, but that is not my answer. My answer is, no, I'm just teasing. My favorite lollygagger. Let's see, who would that be? Let's see, who's currently active in the chat, because that would probably be my answer.
Right. Next one.
Oh, okay, there's Steven. Okay, so yeah, it's got to be Steven, who is Bytor 5. He's a delightful man. He runs games on our channel. He runs a Forbidden Lands stream for us on Tuesdays. So we have a lot of fun with that. And he's in a bunch of games on Fridays and Saturdays. He's in that One Ring game I've mentioned and a few other things. So he's pretty great.
So yeah, thanks, chat, for
yeah.
the setup, the impossible question, and then saving us from imminent divorce and not talking to each other all night because
it's true. It's
thank you,
true.
chat.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna get a bad look when I leave the room here in a minute. So if we want to go long, that's fine with me too. Like longer, we can push that up.
Cool off period.
Yeah.
No arbitration in the future. We'll bring it to happier times. So let's get to Holler. Sure, the graphic behind you is Holler. I mean, I'm a little biased, but unique setting. No one's done it before. Someone did it right after we did it. A little different, but nothing's quite like it. So yeah, what was it about Holler that attracted you, and how has it been like exploring that world? How awesome was it to have Tracy come and guest GM and all that good stuff?
Well, Tracy's amazing, and the problem, however, is that now everyone that's in that game realizes what the game would look like with a very good shift boss. And so now me running it, there's definitely been a little bit of a decline in enthusiasm. So there's that.
Not fair, Tracy. Not fair.
I know. Thanks a lot, Tracy. Really, really appreciate that. But no, Holler I love. Like we were talking a little bit before we went on stream is like about the different settings and things like that. I really enjoy unique settings. I like settings, especially settings that have a somewhat modern twist on it. And like Holler's got that kind of 1930s vibe, but it's also apocalyptic. It's also Appalachian. It has this hodgepodge of these different elements that kind of created a really interesting setting. And so that primarily is what drove me to it. And I was looking and I was getting into the Savage Worlds, building up with Deadlands here and there. And the thing with Deadlands is it's been around for a really long time, tons of lore. It's been through different iterations and some rewrites and changes here and there. And Holler is like, not only did I really enjoy the setting, but it was also an opportunity to kind of almost ground floor it in a way. Someone who at the time was relatively new to Savage Worlds, it's kind of nice to get in, on a setting that's just brand new. And then reading it, like it is a great read. Like it is just the writing in the book is really fantastic. And there's like a care and attention to all of the different locations, the people, the cultures. Like it's really incredibly well presented. When I was in college, I took a bunch of folklore courses, and my teacher at the time was a Appalachian folklorist. So seeing like Appalachia suddenly presented, like I can't say I remember a whole lot from back then, but like it was a long time ago. But it was always fairly interesting, and like all of that kind of led me to it. And then I saw like Tim Early's a name on it, and I was like, that sounds like a really really familiar name. And I realized I had read some of his poetry, and then like there's all this kind of weird like storm of just like coincidences and like perfect timing. And in reading it, it's just really really good. Like it's just a really fantastic game that I think is presented in a way that I don't know, you can very easily root for the people, like the troublemakers themselves, and you have a very clear villain and the big boys and just the hodgepodge nature of apocalyptic content, Appalachian kind of content, but you also have things like you have cars. Like there's a car here, there's a motorcycle there, there's guns, there's this huge inequity of like the haves and have-nots and all. And then you add in cryptids as well. And so there's so many different things, and you can really tailor, I think, the game to what you want. Do you want it to be like more horror driven? Do you want it to be more pulpy? And we go a little bit more pulpy now. Like I had in my mind the idea in the beginning, maybe we were going to go more horror, but then as we played it, I realized, this is going to be more like kind of pulpy. We're gonna punch the cryptid in the face. Like that's what we're going to do, because that's my plan. Yeah. So Holler is been phenomenal. Like I cannot say enough nice things about how great Holler is. I hope more people play it because it's a game that I think is just gorgeous too. Like I have the box set around here, and the thing is just amazing. Like the artwork on the map too. It's like it's stylistic and everything. Kind of like the names of the places, like everything about it is just it's just sort of. Yeah, it hits a lot of marks for me that just sort of made it an easy choice to play.
Oh, that is awesome. So for all of you Lollygagger folks who have not been watching the Peg stream, there is more Holler coming, and kind of one of the first things out the door is going to be a Holler comic. So same artist, Prenzy, who did all the work, is doing a comic for it, eventually a graphic novel, but whatever you call the individual comic release it might even be a web comic. So it's looking. I've seen some of the productions, and it looks gorgeous. And so there's more stories to tell from Holler, and kind of go multimedia on it, in addition to future RPG prospects as well. But that's super exciting. So on that stream, like we got you here. I promised you swag. So why don't we just say now? So I'll have to do it. We will shoot you guys some Holler swag to give out on your Holler show, and maybe for your a landmark upcoming episode, whether it's the finale or a good stopping point, or even a TPK. We'll throw in one of those limited edition Hollers with the real sheep squatch skin covers that you guys can give away as a surprise.
This is recorded, right? This stream doesn't go
right.
Well.
No take backs. No take backs.
The fancy one. Oh my goodness.
Right?
Yeah. That would be amazing. It's very, very kind of you all. Yeah, very kind.
Yeah.
And we are coming. I mean, we're not immediately near the end, but we're hitting Act 8. So we just started up Act 8 of a 10 act plot point campaign. So I would imagine we got a couple months left, but because we're an every other week stream. Oh, there's the box.
Right. So I put my. I might have taken my limited edition out to read it, but oh my god! So if you guys haven't seen Holler, like those are some of the monsters you might be facing, which is awesome.
Oh, the tree! Oh my gosh, the piney king! Oh, fantastic!
It's there, and
we had a very not PG-13 encounter with the piney king tree, as one of our players heard it in a very interesting way. And we had a little piney people dancing around. I got to record. Cool. I recorded my voice and I changed the pitch of it to make the song for the Piney King song, which is great.
I love that. That is awesome.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's so much stuff in this box. It is just jam packed full of stuff. So some cool stuff again, like scene setters. So I really like these because if you're not running on streams, if you are not a stream talented person, and you already have kind of the live aspect of going on, like these little scene setters are just kind of like awesome art from Holler, which kind of just gets you in the mood of here's we were talking like rubbing is racing before, like, hey, there's cars in this setting, like you have cars, but you've got fantasy, and here's a little gas station ammo dump, the little company store, like the moonshine still, the orchard. I mean, there's all these really awesome, like here's the Galloway mine, which you might recognize as the background
right up here behind me.
Right here. Textile mill that no one would actually want to work in because look how creepy that is. But oh my god,
which is like the first act, which is terrifying, as the machines within there can rip your fingers and your hands off, which we almost got somebody, which is great. But they didn't actually. I was hoping just to continue our severing of arms that was what's going to come up, but it
that's true. I mean, there are more chances. There are more chances.
Yes.
Losing of limbs in the Holler is definitely a thing.
It'll happen at some point for sure. We have a couple acts left. Yeah.
There's time. There's time.
There's definitely still time. That industrial accidents table Tracy mentioned just in chat, it is phenomenal. I wasn't sure if anyone was going to do it. I was worried. I was like, I hope somebody uses. I really want to roll this table. Unfortunately, the person, our buddy, I think it was Dan, who is notorious for being a terrible roller of dice. Something about the universe doesn't like when he rolls dice because it always winds up terrible. And so I just thought, perfect person. I'm just going to rip off his arm's going to go off. It's going to be terrible, but it wasn't that bad. It was kind of bad.
Yeah.
We had some, we set a tone because he played an old man. He's the dog family. So we've had two character deaths. I'm spoiling this if people haven't watched this. 2 character deaths, and both have been from his family line. So it was Dog Moore, which was the very first episode as they started a brawl in a tavern. And then Dog Les, he died a little bit later. And then we're currently on Dog Int, DOGN''T, and he's been hanging in for a while, so he's looking pretty good right now. Yeah.
Poor Dan. Poor dogs.
Poor Dan.
Dan dogs and arms. Digits. Yeah. Dan dogs and digits just do not survive.
It's been rough. I've nearly killed Key Cowboy every time. I have a tendency with our buddy Jeremy, who's the one who got me into Savage Worlds with Deadlands. I have a tendency, for some reason, my dice explode like no other whenever I'm attacking him. And so when we first started playing Holler, we tested it out a bit before we started on the plot point campaign. We did some of the Savage Tales, And I think I did like 60 damage to him at one point. So it just kept exploding and exploding and exploding, like so many aces. It was pretty amazing. But it's always him. It's always him. But now they can just soak. It's just whatever. It's good for the stream.
After Savage Worlds, I don't know that I'd ever want to go back to a game that didn't have some kind of version of bennies. I think I just become too spoiled for player agency to, like
you can control when you use it. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I love GURPS. It was fun. The 3d6 was very bell curvy and realistic feeling. But you just had to take all the damage you ever took, and it's like, oh, that's sad. And sometimes I don't want to, so I'll spend bennies to get out of it. And then sometimes your name is Dustin, and you just deserve to die. So that's
fair enough. We actually had a player named Dustin once. I think I killed him like 3 times in a campaign. So that's great.
That's the way.
Something is about that name. Yeah.
I mean, everyone thinks it's NDAs or like non-disclosure agreements. No Dustins allowed. That's
little known fact.
So, what's upcoming? What do we have to look forward to? I mean, obviously, it sounds like you're coming around the final turn for some Holler. So we got a couple episodes left, and it'd be a little kind of the same for One Ring. Any spoilers? Any hints on kind of the next new hotness, the new show? Savage Worlds.
So let's see. We stream 3 days a week. So we stream on Mondays and Fridays and Saturdays. Our Monday and Fridays are like every other week. So we stream every Monday, but we have 2 different games there. And right now we have I have committed strangely to a very, very long Call of Cthulhu campaign, Horror in the Orient Express, one of the old classic ones.
Ooh.
So that's going to be a fixture every other Monday night for the next 7-8 years, maybe. I don't know, something like that. It feels good. It's going to take a while. I know that. And then One Ring, we're taking a very short break as one of our players out of the country. And so this weekend, we're going to be playing some, we're going to try out some Genesis. We're going to do some Twilight Imperium. Speaking of board games, it's a game I never got to play as a board game because it's not the type of game unfortunately.
It's a weekend. You got to have like 6 players who are like, we're going to do this. Order pizza now because it's going to be 12 hours.
Yeah. But then I saw a role-playing game setting and, I messed around with Genesis years ago, like when we were first kind of getting started. So I'm like, all right, we can give this a couple weeks to give that a try. So that's coming up. That's one thing we're doing this month. I'm also doing, speaking of OSR, we were talking about OSR before, doing some Black Sword Hack. So that's going to be, we're going to do a one shot of that in a couple weeks. And then like, I guess the big thing, the big thing coming down, the next big kind of campaign we're going to be running is a Delta Green game. We played the Impossible Landscapes campaign 2 years ago. It took about a year. And now we're doing a second season of that where we're kind of mixing up some official Delta Green stuff, but also some modern Cthulhu stuff and a little of that. So we're starting that at the end of the month. So that's our next big thing. And I think at some point, I'm not sure, end of summer, maybe into fall, we're in Savage Worlds. We're probably gonna do some Pine Box Middle School. That's a setting I've been wanting to try out.
So now you're a Tracy sim. That's what's happening here. Just
a little bit. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. But Pine Box Middle is like right there. I think that's something we're going to do a couple episodes of at least. So for sure. I guess that's probably what we're going to do that's what we have on the schedule for now. So we've got like One Ring's probably going to be going until I would say the fall. And after that, I'm not exactly sure what's going to replace it. But Delta Green is probably the next big thing. And, one other game, if you're a fan of Fallout, we're going to be doing some Fallout as well on Friday nights. So we're going to be doing a little bit of that, alternating with our Delta Green game. So our friend Aaron, who is, I think in the chat I saw him, he's the GM on that one. So he runs a lot of the 2D20 system for us. We've been doing Conan for a bit for the past couple of months. And so we're going to switch over, do some Fallout. So we try to tap into a lot of different things here and there. So, and as Tracy just said, Han cluster, definite on the radar. We've talked. It's certainly that will happen. It's a question of when, not if.
So it is written. So it is done.
Yeah.
It's right there. It's right there.
It's right there.
Take backs. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, nice. This within the table mentions like it's good if you get some other folks to game master because you actually get to play. Because the forever GMs is definitely a syndrome and. GMs deserve to be players too.
Yeah, it's great. We've got two other folks who are GMing right now on the channel. So Steven, as I already mentioned, runs Forbidden Lands for us weekly. Aaron runs Conan for us every other week. I'm currently running 4 games. I've I've done as much as 6, and it's terrible. It was really tough. So it's getting them to run. First of all, they just run great games, and they're super fun to play with. But it's been nice being able to sort of take a step back a little bit and just play. I still do a lot of the production, the stream stuff, but it's really nice to kind of just, all right, I don't have to prep for tonight. That's great. So it's really, really fun there. And Tracy coming in, doing some guest jamming was so much fun to have her there. And we've had 1 or 2 other people pop in every now and then to do a one shot. We have a friend John who's run some Star Wars for us before. So little bits here and there.
Nice.
Yeah.
So on Star Trek, the Maquis or the Marquis? Is that a spelling error? So so they're referencing. So when I was a player over on one of our friends' streams, Garblag Games, speaking of the UK stream, I played some Traveler. And I got to play the Maquis, and he was a very Keanu Reeves-esque kind of gym rat guy who really loved Bloody Marys and things, and in the Traveler universe. And he really wanted to make sure everyone got their protein, got their daily push-ups in, calisthenics and stuff. But that was the Maquis, yeah, that was fantastic. Awesome. Yeah. Well, so we got a few minutes left. Outside of gaming, what cool stuff in the world do you want to boost the signal of? Like any television shows, movies, podcasts, books, you name it. Anything out there that's like you're enjoying currently, giving you inspiration for writing or running or writing and all that kind of stuff?
I have been I'm talking lately about how I just keep running into things on Apple TV that I really enjoy, and so we've been we've been watching Silo the past couple of weeks.
Everyone's recommended that. I just finished C, and C was cool. C was amazing. Mm-hmm. The one that was blind, and but I've heard.
Yeah. Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
I mean, because I know they don't have there's not like a ton of stuff on Apple TV, but there's been so many, it's like it kind of hit my wheelhouse. There's that Foundation series, which was great because I was a big reader. I teach, and so I teach writing and reading, so I read a lot. And so seeing Silo has been really fun. I know it's based on a series, it was originally like a self-published book series, and then it kind of took off and gained its own publisher. So kind of interested in reading that, but I'm at that point where I'm like, maybe I'll wait until the end of the season just to get the TV version and then kind of come back around. I don't want to spoil here and there. And I'm really looking forward to second season of Severance popping up. So I like a lot of those kind of off the cuff, I like these speculative fiction type of things here and there. I've been watching a lot of those lately. So yeah, Mythic Quest was a lot of fun on Apple TV. It's a lot of fun. It's a very, very funny show too. And then we just finished up watching what was it called? It's called the Big Door Prize, which is on Apple TV. It's about a town where this random device just pops up in the middle of a general store that tells you your life's potential and just kind of screws everyone up a little bit. It's like, they're like, wait, am I happy with my life? Am I happy? And so it's just this little introspection here and there as people start to figure out well, I guess I could have done this with my life. So I like those types of shows. And then another show that I absolutely loved was Mrs. Davies.
So cool. I haven't gotten all the way through it, but it's great concept, and I love the actress.
Oh my gosh.
She's great.
From Glow. She was from Glow, I think, right?
Yeah, and then The Hunt. She was the main character in The Hunt. I think it was the same writer, maybe even.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that show's great. That show feels in some ways like a modern wacky tabletop role playing game.
It's hard to describe to people. You're like, there's a crazy AI, there's a nun, there's saints. It's all people are like, do those go together? And it's beautifully.
Yep. And you get fed falafel by Jesus in a diner. So it's like, well, this is a real interesting combination of things right here. This is fascinating. So those are some things I've been watching lately. I've been kind of digging quite a bit of. Lots of fun. So I pretty much will watch anything that's even if it's not great at first, I usually stick with the weird shows because I want them to continue making weird shows. I'm not really into the procedural stuff over and over. So, but Mrs. Davies was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, there's another good one that I think Amazon had. It was called Outer Range, and it's been renewed. And that one was definitely, if you like Deadlands, but it's much more modern, but also weird. There's weirdness in it too. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, Josh Brolin's in that. He's the lead. Yeah,
And not like the Mandalorian where like you get the big name and then they put him in a mask the whole time and he's not actually upset. Nope, it's him on screen a whole bunch.
You see his grizzled face for quite a lot of minutes. Yeah, quite a lot.
Yeah, that one's cool. I like that one. So I mean, like last question. Right, Thanos and the hole in the ground. That's where we're at.
Yeah, Thanos and the hole in the ground. Yeah.
None of the weird chin folds though.
No.
Chin wrinkles was a step too far for me.
He's got the suitable like 65-year-old man, a little bit of black, a little bit of white, kind of on his chin here and there. That's what he's got.
And plenty of shirtlessness for those who enjoy that too. So
that's true.
That's good. So where do you find the time, sir? You also teach, which just sounds crazy. I mean, it sounds like you must be very good at prep because you're running multiple games. And not only have to run the games, but you have to stream the games, and then you also teach, which is prep. And then like where's the time in the day? How does one organize the life that is Jeff to be able to be that productive?
Well, I don't know if I'm good at prep. I know Steve and some of the other folks that watch our streams, they keep bugging me to like show them my prep, which I almost feel like magician wise is careful. Like don't show the trick too much. I'm always kind of nervous about that. But I mentioned before, like Electric Bastion Land is a game that I used to do ridiculously heavy prep. Like I was that guy. Like when we first started getting into this, eventually we found our way to 5e. Like so many people do. We don't play it anymore, but we were there for a bit, and so prepped a lot of that. And I just you start prepping things you never end up using. But I remember reading Electric Bastion Land, which again most influential game I've ever. Like in terms of like rules, GM advice, that section alone, even if you don't play the game, just reading that GM section alone is phenomenal. Chris McDowell into the Odds series, like it's just phenomenal. And then also Heart from Rick Rowan and Descartes, like there's just the way these games are set up, and you start to see, what to value when you're prepping. And so there's you don't necessarily have to prep everything. You have to prep, what you're gonna, what's valuable, what's impactful in the game. Here and there, certain games take more prep than others. Like One Ring takes a significant amount of prep at times because I like to do lore drops and stuff every now and then. But other games, it's really about just kind of prepping, situations, and then that's it. I don't try to read what they're going to do. What players are going to do. I just here's the situation. Let me throw it in front of them, and then after that, a lot of it is reacting. So I would say I'm definitely in the 50-50 improv versus prep. Like I'll prep a lot of things, but I'll also rely on the fact that, I've internalized what we're doing. I kind of can sort of see the story beats here and there pretty well. A lot of that's, some of it's my job because I do a lot of that, but you just sort of read the beats a bit and just sort of play off the people who are in your game. And I think a lot of players will tell you what they want in a game, even if they don't realize they're telling you it. So you look at their character sheet and you see that, they just took D10 in fighting. Well, I guess they want to fight, so I guess they want some combat, So I start looking at that. I peek at character sheets, see what people want, and I try to cater the game as best I can to what people want. Some of that is limited depending on the type of game, like Call of Cthulhu. It's investigative, you're going to get it. But other games, like, you just kind of cater it. And that's one of the things that happened with Holler. Like I started with one idea, but as I started to see what we were doing and what they wanted, you start catering it and tweaking it to, their needs and their interests. And I also don't sleep much. So that's the other.
It helps. Vampire. There we go. Immortal. You've had time to practice.
To bring it all the way back, when I was a high schooler, I became a vampire at that Vampire the Masquerade session that I started all of this on.
That's the dangerousness of letting a LARPer, don't neck a LARPer because they might go in for the bite, and it's just your life will fundamentally change from that point forward.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad we invited you in and didn't leave you standing at the door, Mr. Vampire. That was a great and very quick hour, and that's why your hair is fantastic. I mean, that is very Brad Pitt, Antonio Banderas interview with a vampire level Pantene quality hair right there. Vampire.
Thank you very much.
We've got it. We've got this. So yeah, we'll have to have you back on again. But definitely. So
anytime.
There will be PEG support coming for your Holler stream. So guys, if you haven't checked out Adventures of Lollygagging and you want to pick up a copy of Holler, they'll be giving some away. And what other goodness, when is your next show? So you mentioned you got to do the thing.
Right.
When when can folks find you next thing?
So we'll be there tomorrow night playing Conan on twitch.tv/lollygaggers. We'll be there on Saturday playing that Twilight Imperium game. And then we'll be there on Monday for more Holler and Tuesday for Forbidden Lands. So we stream Fridays, Saturdays, Mondays, and Tuesdays. And usually our weeknight games are usually 9 Central or 10 Eastern. That's kind of usually when we start pretty late after people, there's a lot of players who have kids and they put their kids to bed, that kind of thing. And then our Saturday games are like 6 Eastern. So we play more like afternoon, evening time for us because we're mostly Arizona, California folks.
Which is good. A lot of PEG folks in Arizona, so we need to make crossovers happen. We need to do live events.
Absolutely.
JD is an Arizona person too, so
fantastic.
So we'll make something happen there. But folks. So Nice and Smith Dinner Table is our guest next week on Savage Universe. So tune in next week for that. But we have a stream tomorrow coming as well on PegInc.com. So give us a follow so you get notified of that tomorrow. On office hours, we've got Mike Barbeau, who is the genius behind one of the many geniuses behind Savage Pathfinder, which is up for an Origins Award. So that's awesome. And he's also hard at work polishing off the Doomguard board game. And we talked about board games earlier in this stream.
Yeah.
So Pinnacle is expanding out from RPGs and also doing board games because Mike made a really good one. And we've got I'll be on, but we also have a guest host, Zoe Calloway. She is a young entrepreneurial spirit who wants to get into the gaming industry. And so she's going to come on and ask Mike some questions too. So it should be a good time. It'll be tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern on this same bat channel, same bat time. Actually an hour earlier than this stream started. So it's 7 p.m. Eastern. And we will get right soonish. And then as I recommend, that is true. So folks, so everybody, welcome to the channel for the first time. Give us a follow, and we'll have more great Savage Worlds content for you. And then all of the Savage Worlds folks who have yet to check out Adventures in Lollygagging, all the links are below. They've been scrolling. Review them if you haven't. Go check them out because they are very busy and very good. And those things usually don't go together as well as they do with you guys. So also, apparently, you're going to Gen Con. So hopefully,
yes, first time.
Oh, yeah. Well, that'll be exciting. Don't plan too much. Leave some spots open for some impromptu games. But I hope you guys have a blast.
That's what I've been told.
So.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Well, thank you all the wildcards for joining us on this stream for Savage Universe. J.M. DeFogie will be back next week as host. And so we'll see you tomorrow for some Mike Barbeau. And you can see Jeff multiple days a week with the other awesome people who've all been in chat. So thank you, Lollygaggers, for joining us as well. And the folks from, Norse Foundry. So pick up some dice trays.
Absolutely.
Cool. So we appreciate everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow. Get out there and play some Savage Worlds. Cheers, folks.